Ronnie was in the front seat. It hit the windshield, and Ronnie actually, his whole scalp was torn back. I mean, he had over 100 stitches in his head, from here all the way around. You woke up and like, what the hell happened? We didn't really know. I didn't know because I was in shock. And we found out that Nicky had died, and that was a very emotional thing for us. So basically, to put the band back together, we had Gary, Ronnie, and myself. And we knew about Mickey Lee. Mickey Lee was in the Army at the time. He had just gotten out, and he was a keyboard player. So, well, we need to get Mickey Lee in the band. So we asked him, and he said, yes, he would come. And we brought Doug back in as a rhythm guitar player. And because we felt it was the right thing to do, to ask him to come back. And he was in the accident. He went through it all.
He's a brother.
And Doug was a good songwriter and a good vocal backup person too.
And he looked cool on stage. Big, tall, blonde guy.
Yeah,
headband
he was too tall, but he still looked pretty good.
Yeah. The real hard rock was about to come, right? The real hard stuff. But we're talking psychedelic music. Well, I think we got a picture of that, full group picture here that we could take a look at. Flower power type clothes. And it was was the real dressed up era.
Yeah. Prior to this time, we did this tour with it was a Gene Pitney Caravan of Stars, they called it. And Gene Pitney, of course, was the headline of the whole thing. But there were, 5 or 6 bands, they were big at the time. The Easybeats, the Happenings. But they were all bands that had, they had records in the charts, at the time. And it was a bus tour, a couple buses. And the Easybeats were a big inspiration on us,
Well, one of the brothers became AC/DC later, right?
the brother, yeah. But it was George Young that was the guitar player in the Easybeats.
Right? Yeah.
And Harry Vanda was a tall blonde guy that played the other guitar. They dressed in this way that you can see that when we came back from that tour, we want to dress like that.
Okay, that was the kind of
that
easy
inspired us.
With
the, they had the puffy
ruffled shirts,
very
like the Kinks used to wear.
Yeah. George Young, and he played an electric 12-string through the whole set. I learned a couple of their songs in their set, and he learned a couple of songs in Ronnie's set. And the last night of the show, we switched off, and I played 2 songs with the Easybeats.
Oh, how cool!
And he played 2 songs with Ronnie. They had Friday on My Mind was their big hit. Back then, things got louder and louder and louder, and as we progressed with that lineup in the band, Doug's taste in music was a little bit different than the rest of us. We were going through, we wanted to go a little heavier, a little more rock, more like Humble Pie, things that were happening at the time.
Well, Cream at that point was happening.
Cream,
sure.
And Doug was more like, he was more country related. He liked, bands like the Bee Gees and stuff like that. He had to part ways with a band.
Doug is the one on the right. Fast forward years later, he ended up being Motley Crue's manager.
No, so at that point, with the 4 of us, we went out as, first it was the Electric Elves, and we went to the Elves. And then we started to write songs, and it was like we'd get together pretty much every day to rehearse. And some of the songs on that first Elf album were written solely by myself. A couple of them were written by Ronnie and Mickey Lee. Then it was done as a band,
Who wrote one of my favorite songs, Sit Down, Honey?
I wrote that song. We were on the road, and I'm working on this song, and I'm looking at a road map. Where are we? Let's see. Oak Ridge. Okay. Just outside of Oak Ridge, about a 15-minute ride. That's one of the lines.
Make it up as you went along.
That's one of the lines in the song, It was different. We wrote songs. We had a bunch of songs together, and we decided we're going to, play. So we were played in Connecticut a lot, Massachusetts. We met up with this fellow. He was a kid, at the time, a lot younger than we were, Bruce Payne, who loved the band. He wasn't in the business at all. And, one time we were out there, and he said, geez, I hate to tell you guys, you guys are going to be disappointed, but I took a job with ATI, the booking agency. And I said, well, why should we be disappointed? You're going to work with one of the biggest agencies in the world at the time, So he goes to work for ATI and in turn gets us the audition with Clive Davis for the first Elf album.